Hey, everybody. This is Joaquin with...
This is Jay. What's up with the laughter?
I don't know, man. And this is the Overflow Podcast at thisisoutcry.com. I think this is number
5.
Number 5.
Check that out.
Hey, we have not been canceled. That's awesome. I would stink if we got that phone call and be like, yeah, you guys are canceled.
Yeah, but who would call it? Like, who'd make that phone call?
Who'd make that phone call? I would think a family member would probably be like, we're tired of your shenanigans.
Nah, I mean, to be really honest, I think the person who would make that call, would be Juice.
Juice would cancel us?
Yeah, Juice would cancel us.
Because, you know why he would cancel us?
Because he's not here.
Because he's not here.
Because he has to work.
Because he would be hating on us. That's why. And he doesn't even listen to us, so we can talk about him and he won't even know.
Nah, I don't think that he doesn't listen. Well, he hasn't said anything.
He hasn't said anything. I think he's jealous. So we're just going to talk about him for like an hour straight.
No, we're not.
Nah.
No, we're not. No, I mean, all he has to do is change his schedule.
That's true. Or we could be more accommodating, but we're not.
We could do it on
the day he's off? I don't know.
He's rarely off, man. He works so much. That's
on him. I'm off every evening.
So am I. And he works at
night.
Evenings.
You know what? I would do it at his restaurant with him if he fed us.
Dude.
Live remote broadcast.
That's an idea.
While I'm eating a big, fat, juicy ribeye.
That's an idea. We should do that.
But they couldn't understand because all they hear was like, this is so good. Clink, 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 clink.
I'll be honest, though. I'll be honest. As crazy as we are, like you and I, it'd be a lot crazier if Juice was here with us. Because the three of us,
it'd be a 3-hour podcast.
Forget about it. It'd be 2 hours straight jokes.
Just jokes. You know. So, Pastor Jay, how was your weekend? How was your week? How's your week been, Pastor Jay, my friend?
You suck.
Why?
Suck. You got to stop calling me that.
Why?
Because it bothers me.
Why does it bother you? I did this on purpose.
I know you did.
Why does it bother you to be called Pastor J? Pastor J? I'm sorry. Hashtag youth Pastor J. We're changing it.
You see the jokes because that was Juice's idea.
We're twittering that.
We're twittering.
I just twittered it.
You're gonna Twitter it on the internet.
So why you don't want to talk about that? I understand.
Nah, I don't want to talk about it.
That's fine. He just doesn't like it because he's not. He doesn't like the responsibility. That's my interpretation.
I don't. You know, it's so funny. A lot of people throw around these titles,
right?
Like it holds some weight,
right?
Like like being called Pastor J makes me a celebrity, or what is it? Pastor, minister, prophet. I mean, it's so ridiculous. Right,
Bishop.
I mean, because Bishop. You go on you see on a lot of people's Facebook pages, they're Bishop, whatever. No, man, no, you're not.
Right.
If you really comprehended the weight,
you don't live your life on a chessboard.
Right?
Why would you want to be a bishop? If you
comprehended the weight that these titles carry, right? You wouldn't want to be called that all the time or seen as that all the time.
You know, my experience with people that have been called prophets or bishops or whatever has not ever really been good. Like they always seem to have like this arrogance about them. I remember when I was working at a Christian bookstore, and this pastor comes in, and he was a black pastor with his wife, and you know a lot of black pastors, and I mean this is the way it is. They wear robes in church. So at this store we sold robes. They could come in and buy robes. So he comes in and you know he's dressed like super nice. His wife is dressed super nice, and you know he walks in, and my coworker's like, "Oh, you know that's so and so." You know, he gave me his name. He just told me his name, like that's Pastor Smith or whatever.
Right.
So he walks up, and I'm like, "Oh, good afternoon, Pastor Smith. How can I help you?" And he looked me dead in the eye. And he said, "I'm not Pastor Smith. I'm Prophet Smith."
Oh, wow.
He corrected me. And and so me,
Son.
I needed this job. So I had to kind of swallow the sarcasm that tends to like come out real passive aggressively in me. And I was just kind of like, oh, I'm sorry. How can I help you, Prophet Smith? You know, and I want to look at the robes. And I was like, yeah, I want to just... Did you see this coming, Prophet?
He's so stupid. Like, where's the humility in that, right?
Well, I had no humility.
No, I'm talking about from him.
From him, yeah. So I'm like,
see, like
whatever.
my thing is, right? The Bible says that those who are pastors, right, or preachers, that their judgment
is like way different.
It's like way a lot more severe than like people who aren't pastors or whatever, right? Well, like pastors and preachers and prophets, like it's gonna be like
there's a
like a separate judgment.
It's a way
because
calling,
there's an accountability that comes with that title. There's a burden that comes with that title. So no, don't do that. Just Jay, man.
I'm just Jay. I'm gonna teach about the Bible, but I'm not gonna call it teaching. We're just having conversations.
Teaching about the Bible. Just don't call me pastor. That's all it is. Don't call me. And then that's the thing also, right? Because like I was raised. I don't know about you, since I was raised Pentecostal and legalist. And you were raised Baptist,
semi-legalist.
But like I was raised where, like, you're called a pastor,
right?
Then there's a certain look and a certain arrogance that comes with that,
right? Is
Is
it? They wouldn't call it arrogance, though.
They wouldn't. I would.
Well, I mean, now you would.
Like your prophet, right? There's a certain arrogance that came with that, right? I mean, you see that? Oh no, yo soy el pastor Soto, right?
He just said, "I am Pastor Soto."
Right?
For
you,
the non.
You can't even be called
speakers.
like Pastor J. I must be called Pastor Soto, and I must be like when Magda and I went to get furniture for the house, when we first bought the house, we walked into an Ashley's, right, to look at the Ashley's furniture. Is it called Ashley's Furniture? Whatever. We walked into a furniture store. Right. And
some chick named Ashley's mad because people keep stealing her furniture.
And I was just chilling. I was in jeans and a t-shirt, whatever. Right. And this was when I was just doing ministry. So the salesperson was like, "Oh, Magda, what do you do?" I was like, "I'm a manager at McAllister's, whatever."
Right.
"Oh, Jay, what do you do?" It's like, and I stayed quiet. Right.
Right.
I didn't say anything. And then I say, "Well, I'm a pastor out in Covington." Dude looked at me twice. Like he did a double take, right? And like I quite like the head went on. My head automatically went sideways. Like what? Why the double take? Straight up, because you don't look like a pastor,
right? Because you got facial hair,
right? Is that no?
Pastors don't have facial hair.
No,
Jay.
I asked him. Well, what's a pastor supposed to look like? Well, you
supposed to have a suit.
You're supposed to have a suit
and no facial hair, Wolverine.
You're supposed to have a suit. And I'm like, all the time.
So this leads me to a great ministry story.
Oh, damn.
So several years ago, we...
oh, God. Seriously?
Yes, I love telling this story. So several years ago, we did a ministry event in Far Rockaway, Nueva York. It was a great, but it was an exhausting trip because we left that night. We drove all night. I drove all night. We got to New York, and we only had a couple of hours before we had to be at the church to get sound checks and all this stuff. So we stopped at Jay's mom's house to kind of get freshen up and to kind of get ourselves ready. And so, I slept for a little bit because I was tired. And so we get dressed and we're about to leave. And for those of you that might not know what I look like, I have little hair on my head, and I'm usually just have a beard.
Or go to thisisoutcry.com, click on team, and you'll see a picture of Joaquin.
I actually have freshly shaven head at that time. Anyway. But I'm usually real lazy. So like right now, I've got that kind of like the like the ring, like the balding spot in the middle. I've given up on life or something. That's why I don't shave as often.
You're so stupid.
But so now imagine I have a beard and I'm not really, my beard isn't trimmed. I'm looking all kinds of crazy. So we get ready to go.
Like a straight crazy mountain man.
Yes. And so we get ready to go and we get everybody in the car. I come upstairs to get Jay and Jay is in a deep discussion with his mother because she wants him to shave before they go to the church. Now, this is the church that Jay grew up in. And so his mom, knows all these people. And because of some of that kind of legalistic mindset of how a pastor is supposed to look, the beard was an issue. And Jay was like, I don't need to shave.
And to think
that's his mom. That's what I was saying.
To think that it wasn't even like a beard.
No,
right? It was just like fuzz.
It was real straggly.
It was like it was worse than like a teenager's peach fuzz. It's so funny.
So she's like, I'm saying, you need to go shave. You can't. He's like, I don't need to go shave. I'm fine. And now, mind you, I'm standing there with my beard and crazy side bald heading hair. Next thing I know, Jay whips around, goes to the bathroom. I kid you not. It was probably like in 2 minutes.
I dry shaved.
He comes back out.
Pissed off.
And he is that was like the angriest shave I've ever been around. And he was so mad. And then I'm all like, well, I didn't have to shave. and he's like, well, you don't matter. I was like, well, I don't matter. I matter, Jay.
That was the thing because supposedly since I used to be a part of there and I used to go there and I know the legalist rules that make up or that makes up that church, then I was supposed to do it.
But I was
supposed to do it.
That's
the funny thing, right? Because we both taught at the conference, right? But only I had to shave.
Right. And dress nice. I was dressed like a bum from New York. And
son, I wasn't even dressed nice. The beard mattered more than the jeans.
Yes,
right.
Well, I mean, dressed nicer than I was. That's
no, but I'm saying, like in that mentality,
right?
The peach fuzz was more important than me wearing jeans and like a plaid shirt.
Right. Now, but I did get them back for you.
You did.
Because
even though does it count if none of them caught it?
Because I threw some shade at them. I threw some shade their way. And they clapped on it. It was great. They were like, "That's right, brother. Amen."
Amen, brother.
I just wanted to stop and be like, "Yo, you realize I'm talking about you."
Preach it, brother. Preach it.
Yes,
that's right. God looks at the heart.
God looks
not at the beard.
Not at the beard. Oh, that is one of my favorite. Now, my most favorite is Jay's story.
I'm going to get flack for this, right?
I don't care. They're not going to call me.
No, me. I said me.
Who's going to give you flack?
Dude,
those people don't listen to us.
Yes, they do.
Not according to my stats on SoundCloud.
Yes, they do. I sent them the link myself personally.
Only 2 people in New York have listened to us. and we know both of them.
The funny thing is, though,
now I was
even with all the horror stories, all the funny stories now, but I am grateful to God that I grew up like that I experienced that.
Right.
Because it makes up a lot of how I think now.
Right. It justifies a lot of that anger that you carry inside you. I'm just kidding. Jay's not angry. Just a little upset. But that's neither here nor there. But it was, it was just one of those funny kind of moments where, because that was also the trip where I ate so many White Castle hamburgers that then I went up to teach, and I was struggling. But fortunately,
we call them belly bombs for a reason.
Oh my goodness! Fortunately, though, I used it to my advantage.
No, I think the funniest memory for me is we brought up the worship team kids from here. A lot of them was for their first time in New York.
That was my first time in New York.
And yeah, but I said kids because it's funny. But listen, kids. So when before the event, right, and I wanted to get pizza.
Yes.
Right. In New York, we don't call it
pizza.
We don't call it pizza. We call it a pie.
Call it Little
Caesar. Because it's a pizza pie, right? So we call them pies.
It's a pizza pie.
Right. We refer to them as pies. It's not like, hey, what kind of pizza? Hey, they do.
Right.
Order 2 pies, one with pepperoni, one without, right?
Right.
And one of the kids was like, pie? I love pie. Can you get a cherry pie? It was like the funniest. It was the funniest.
I remember that because I was eating my White Castle and I heard like, we got some pies. Can I get cherry pie? And I'm like, what? Even I knew there was something wrong with that.
Oh man, the innocence of youth.
But yeah, so I mean, that's a great story. Like I don't think I have any really good.
Yeah, but
stories.
anyway,
so
that's why. That's bring it all back. That's why I don't like
Pastor J. That's okay, Pastor J. We'll still call you Pastor J. So other than today, kind of airing out that you don't like Pastor J. Week been all right, man. It's Thursday,
dude. Yeah, it's
good. Busy at work.
Busy at work. Just going through some changes, doing some things at work, and yeah, I've been looking forward to today for a long time.
Awesome.
Not just because of the podcast, but because
tomorrow's Friday.
And I'm off.
Oh, you're off tomorrow?
I took tomorrow off. Well, I took tomorrow off for a few reasons. I took tomorrow off because I have to take my mom to the doctor.
Right.
In the morning, right? I have to take Cal to get his shots. It's like a little cry because he hates getting shots. I don't know what baby loves it. Right?
Sadistic one.
I've got a meeting. I've got a meeting in the afternoon with Sean Locke to discuss some things.
Okay. And Sean Locke is a Christian artist for those that might not be familiar with him. He started off as funny because he started off like as hip hop, and then he had that Toby Mac influence in his music,
or vice versa. What?
Sure. If Sean Locke is hearing this, yes.
No, but I feel that he almost like on both sides. Like if Toby Mac gave him the let's say like the cosign for the pop and all that stuff that he does, then the Sean Locke gave Toby Mac the cosign for like the better, let's say better, like urban feel that he gave him while he was part of Diverse City.
I don't know enough about to really make any jokes about it, but sure.
That's not jokes. I was like, for real.
Sure.
Now, I know for a fact that Toby doesn't listen to this.
Sure. Well, now, Toby, you know what? I will get lost. I will get lost in the weeds.
So
you're going to meet Sean Locke
and then
stuff.
And then tomorrow night is the event with Todd White.
Oh, that's right. At some church. I don't know
Trinity Chapel.
Chapel.
And Powder Springs.
Yeah, the worship band from my church is performing there.
We talked about this on here before.
I didn't realize that. I was like, wow. Now I'm going to be there. I have a small group tomorrow.
That's right. You're doing
we're doing the War Room Bible study. Right. So
yeah, I'm going to be at
Yeah, I was kind of like, oh, man. It's like a part of me was like, oh, man. I'd like to go, but...
You should go.
Like...
Come on, I put your name on the list.
Yeah.
Like, I seriously did.
Oh, you put my name on the list?
Yes, I did.
So you know what? Maybe I
put your name
for my. You know what? For the
your
for the
name,
guys,
my name, and Juice. I put the whole Outcry team on the list.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe I will go then. I'll just have to tell my peoples tonight. Oh, I'm not gonna be able to make it. Sorry, guys.
No, but they'll understand. I mean,
I hope they understand.
They'll understand.
They'll be mad though because I bring quesitos con guayaba and they love those.
Quesitos con guayaba, for those of you who don't speak Spanish, is quesitos con guayaba.
Oh, it's delicious.
It's delicious.
And my Colombian, because most everybody in my small group's Colombian, man, they love them. It's just they're going to be like,
But you think, nah, because they would have told you, right?
What?
Like, if they would be there or not.
Because
who would be there?
Because
your worship team is going to be there. Like people from your small group, people from your
No,
church.
they will be there because I don't think they didn't advertise it at church.
No, that's interesting.
Because I think it's more for the youth, so they probably advertise it for the youth.
Probably at the warehouse.
Yeah, or at the youth meeting. The warehouse is young adults.
No, yeah, same thing.
Anyway, no, that's a Spanish thing, right? That's a Spanish thing. And so to explain what that means for those of you that might not know, in Spanish churches, if you are not married, you are considered a youth, even if you're 40, 50 years old.
From 12 to not married. That's the age. That's the
12
age.
to not married. And if they have a youth event and you don't show up, they're like, "Why didn't you show up to the youth event?" You're like, "I'm 40 years old."
We gotta stop trashing the Spanish church.
No. Is it trash if it's true?
Yeah,
no,
a little bit.
We speaking truth.
A little bit. We gotta stop trashing the Spanish
church.
To,
well, I didn't grow up in Spanish church,
so you have less reason to trash the Spanish church.
So that's why I can trash the Spanish. I have no emotional attachment to them.
You should. They're still the church.
I'm not even gonna say it. But anyway, so we got that event. That's right, that event tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's tomorrow night.
There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of
but like for those of us who are gonna be a part of the team, yeah, we have to be a little earlier. So
okay. So yeah, we'll do that. I don't know. I am who I am.
You could bring your quesito en guayaba over to
yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Tom White would appreciate that.
Yeah, he might. I don't know that dude. I don't buy pastries for people I don't know.
I know I would appreciate that.
Oh, there's the truth. Jay wants.
I know Juice would appreciate that. Magda would appreciate that.
Jay wants the pastries.
Why not? That's a good idea.
What?
To go to bring some of those pastries.
Cause man. No, we're not gonna do that. But no, okay, that's awesome. So wow, even though you got the day off tomorrow, you got a pretty it's just funny because I took Tuesday off because I went to the doctor get my yearly physical, and man, I'm good. I just need to lose weight. That's like everything. I'm good, except I'm fat, so I just need to.
That's exactly how the doctor told me.
I need to lose. Well, I saw it in his eyes. He was trying to be.
Oh, Joaquin, everything here looks great.
Man, you look great.
You're super healthy. Yeah.
I just need you.
But you're fat.
I need you to lose a little weight. But his eyes were screaming, "You fatty, lose weight."
But you're doing something about that, right?
We'll
gonna join the Y. I think we're all joining the Y.
We're all joining the Y, and but we're not gonna be singing the song. And
no, we are not.
Or maybe we will. Who knows?
No, we are not.
But so we're gonna start that process. I gotta buy some groceries this week, and I get paid tomorrow. So try to start eating a little bit better.
It's about discipline.
And I'm just not a disciplined person, and that's why I need someone. For me, what would work for me? For somebody just to cook for me. I need to find somebody just to cook for me and be like, here, I will make these meals for you.
No,
and then
I don't think that's enough because you'll have that, but you will still go out to eat like at 10 o'clock at night. No, you're usually.
No, I'm usually asleep during the week. I'm going to bed.
Yeah, right but you would still eat outside, and I think that's where you need the most discipline.
If I knew you're right.
Not eating. So
outside. Then I need somebody also to give my money to and just be like, look.
It's like my. Because I'm trying to get better habits.
That's why my dad tells me I need a wife.
I just to get on your money too. I'm trying to get better habits, right? So last week for me breakfast was coffee and donuts.
Right.
Like I was eating a donut.
That's not a good habit.
Right.
But it's one donut. I would have had 12.
Yeah. It was like 2 donuts. But yeah, I'm not gonna say.
I would have
and a cronut. Have you seen a cronut?
It's good?
It's a donut made with croissant dough instead.
I know what it is.
I've
never had it. Do they have it at Tip Top?
No, actually, they have it at the other place. Magda went up. The other place is right next door to us, so she went there.
Oh, well, never mind then.
They have it at the other place.
Speaking of discipline, now I'm thinking I might stop at Tip Top, pick the guys up some donuts tomorrow.
Dude, if I was going to work tomorrow, I would have done the same thing.
And by picking up
the guy, you are in Marietta, you need to go to Tip Top Donuts.
Yes.
Right? It's off 41. Yeah, is that considered East Cobb?
I have no idea.
But whatever. It's off, look it up. Tip Top Donuts. It's off of 41 and all good. All good. They make the donuts fresh there every morning.
And those donuts are all good.
We're not getting paid to do this, but we just love the donuts there so much. They're so awesome.
They have these bacon maple donuts. Oh,
yeah, I'm not a fan of that one.
So delicious. I'm
not a fan of that. But donuts, bagels, forget it.
They're bagel. Everything bagel. Everything bagel with bacon, egg, and cheese is for Rizzy. For Rizzy. That means it's for reals.
Yeah, that's what that means.
It's so Rizzy. It's so really. You got to eat the Izzy.
All right, enough.
Anyway,
enough.
All right, Snoop Dogg. That's stop. But so anyways, that's all. So I went to the doctor, and my blood, which is funny because my blood pressure's good, cholesterol's good, all that stuff is good. I just need to lose.
I need to go to the doctor.
So starting next week, I need to really, buy the groceries, joining the Y. Actually, my manager from work we're gonna start meeting up and working out, and hopefully we're gonna get this under control.
It's so funny because you told me that.
People don't want me to die young.
I've been having this conversation,
and I'm like, that's how you become a legend.
No, that's how you just die young. That's about also joining the Y. I mean, it's a good deal. It's a good spot.
So we're not getting paid by the Y either. We need to start really writing down these companies we mentioned and go talk to them. Say, hey, we got a podcast that's running 5 episodes deep. And we
got like 6 listeners.
We're up to, I think we're up to about like 15.
You think? I think it's more than that.
Maybe more than that. Yo, all I know is. Wait.
Drum roll.
We've had listeners from
South Africa. So, but we know her. So thank you, Christina.
Thank you, Christina. If you were cool, Christina, you would give our past podcast to other people so we get more people from South Africa.
Well, we know that she's cool. So now she knows that we've commissioned her to do that.
Your mission, while you're on your mission, is to spread our podcast.
Right.
It's to spread the gospel and our podcast.
Right. She's a friend who we met in Nashville who is now doing missions out in South Africa. So that's very dope. Cool. That's very dope that she's doing that.
Yes.
But then also that she's out there listening to our podcast.
And she listened to our
podcast. And she actually liked it.
Then we had somebody from Nigeria.
Which we don't know who that is.
We don't know anybody from Nigeria. Hey, my Nigerian brother.
Or sister.
How you doing? We're so glad.
Thank you for listening.
Listen to us.
And then today, France. Right? So whoever you are in France.
France. And because of that, I will go one whole week without making any kind of jokes. The rest of this week, I will make no jokes about the French.
I'm not making that promise. But whoever you are out there in France, thank you for listening.
Yes.
And we don't know you guys, but we love you and we appreciate you. And it would be an honor to us if you would leave us a message in the comments section.
Yes.
And just, let us know who you are. And, that would be pretty dope for us to be able to connect like that. That'll be pretty dope.
That would be awesome. And if you want, leave it in your language. We can Google translate that. We'll just copy and paste right into Google Translate.
That's right, copy and paste.
So so we got some exciting things. For our friends and family.
That made me so excited when I saw that.
We got some exciting things. We recently realized that there's some other cats that are here in Georgia, in the Atlanta area, that we didn't really know. So hopefully we'll be able to connect with those guys, the Track Star guys.
Oh, I asked if you wanted to. Yeah, so I guess you want to.
Yeah, so let's do that. Let's connect with those guys.
Oh, and
we need to connect with a bunch of
on that.
People.
A couple weeks ago, was last week or the week before. I don't remember.
I don't either.
We talked about Heesun Lee's song.
Yes.
Right. Last week. So she just dropped the video for it. She dropped the visual for it. So you can check that out if you follow her on any social media, or if not, along with this podcast, we'll be posting it up on our website on thisisoutcry.com.
So you can see the video. It's a simple video, but I thought it went well with the song.
Yeah, I mean it's a simple video because she wanted people just focus on the song.
Yes.
Right, that's why you see a lot of the lyrics pop up on the screen.
And that song is definitely a song that you don't want a lot of visuals to pull away from what is being said.
Right.
So it was very cool. Very, very excited about the things happening with Heesun.
So the whole track stars connection was because
hey, probably not probably Tim. Hey Tim.
Right.
Hey Tim.
Right. So he tagged us on an interview that she did with Track Stars while she was here.
Yeah, it was very good.
Recording a couple months ago.
Yeah, so it was very, very cool. And that we can link that up to the site too, can't we?
We can do anything. It's our site.
Jay will link that to the site too. So you can watch the video, hear the interview, get a little insight into the song. So a lot of cool stuff is happening. A lot of cool stuff is coming up. I feel it's gonna be some doors opening, man. I'm really excited about.
Do you feel it in your bones?
I feel it. I feel it in my heart.
You feel it in your feet?
I can't feel it in my bones.
Do you feel it in your hands?
I don't.
Do you feel it all over me?
I don't.
You don't know the God's Not Dead song, the old school God's Not Dead song.
No, I don't know I don't know I don't know the old school God's Not Dead. Jay, you're old. Why are you bringing old songs?
I am old.
I'm young and hip. I'm young. I might need a new hip, but I'm young. But so with that, man, things are going great. People out there, please, we just ask, let us know, hit us up on the comments if we say anything either that touched you in any way, that inspired you, offended you. I don't care. Just let us know if I say something particularly stupid. Just let me know.
Even if you don't agree with what we're saying, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I will delete any comment that's aggressive or hostile, right? Because it's ridiculous. But if you don't agree with something that we've said, get on the comments and give us your point of view.
Let's dialogue.
We don't. I
promise I won't mock you.
Right? We don't presume to think that we know everything, right? No. That's why.
Most things.
And I think that's why
that's me.
The format that we have is real relaxed and conversational. So you can join the conversation, of course, not here with us, but through the comments section and give us your point of view, whether you agree or disagree. And let's open it up for dialogue. I think that I think that'll be a good thing to do after you listen to tonight's podcast or today's podcast.
Yeah, just let us, like I said, let us know. Honestly, it'd also be very encouraging for us if, just write a little note saying, hey, we liked it, we hated it, here's why not. I don't really care. Just let us know that you listen. That's all I care about. I don't care if you liked it or not. If you write down that you don't like it, guess what I'm going to tell you? I'm going to tell you to stop hating. That's right. That's right. I'm going to tell you to stop. Where you going, Jay?
I'm going to get some water.
Jay's going to get some water, so I guess I am on my own. So I will tell another Jay story.
Just start.
Because he is not on the mic, and he hates when I tell his stories. I'm just kidding. We'll save Jay's cruise story for another episode.
Cruise story.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, so today we're gonna kind of jump into our topic. I made the comment about you hating on us because we're gonna talk about this word hate. One of the things that and it's not really talking about the word hate, but it's kind of the
slang term, right? The term.
Yeah, kind of like the underlying meaning of when people talk about, I got haters, or don't hate on me, or why you hating on me. And we kind of want to look at two different kind of aspects of that, because one thing that we've noticed. But
just to be specific, we're going to talk about the perspective of believers.
Yes.
Right? Just, if you're not a believer and you got haters, more power to you. That's on you. You complain about your haters, go ahead with yourself. But we're talking specifically when believers say that they have haters or they're being hated on.
Yes, and one of the reasons we want to talk about this, and we want to kind of maybe, I don't know, muddle. I feel sometimes like kind of throw it out there. Let's see what sticks, see what doesn't stick, because. One thing that me and Jay have noticed, because we've had conversations about this, especially kind of in our little pocket of the people that we kind of deal with in hip hop, Christian hip hop, But you're seeing it really, it's really kind of gone out to a lot of different areas within the Christian walk. And as people always talking about, the Christians always talking about, oh, you need to stop hating on me. You don't need, I'm doing this for God, so you need to stop hating on me. Or, oh, you don't understand what I'm doing. Why I got all these haters. And so, and kind of like I said, in our pocket, we tend to sometimes hear a lot of hip hop artists,
right, and it's in a lot of songs now.
Yeah, rapping about how
a lot of people get on stage
they're getting hated on.
Right,
and
I got so many haters.
And the thing is that what they're really saying is that there's a group of people that don't agree with what I'm doing, or maybe don't agree with what I'm saying. So they're
right.
So
what
they're
I'm doing,
hating,
saying how I'm saying it, doing it.
So they're hating on me. And so, me and Jay were as we've talked about this, and we wanted to kind of bring it back to, what does the Bible say about you getting hated on? Because getting hated on has become, especially in the Christian world, in some pockets of the Christian world, let me say it that way, being hated on has become synonymous with persecution. I'm being
dun, dun, dun.
persecuted. You don't like how I said something. Why are you persecuting me?
You don't like the way I dress. Why are you persecuting me?
Right. Oh, you don't agree with my worldview.
Why are you
persecuting me?
Right.
And that's especially here in America, it's a very, to me, this is just my opinion right now in these next seconds is this. It's very cringeworthy a lot of times when Christians go around talking about we're being persecuted. Because I think we have lost in our minds, or we've lost the perspective of what real persecution is.
Right. We were discussing this, and, for a lot of people who don't know, and I don't really like putting it out there saying it, but people who listen, well, I think most people who listen know, because they're like,
except for the 3 people in overseas.
Right on the other side of the world. But I work for the news, right? So a lot of times I see footage of things that's unedited, right? Raw footage, and it messes me up. So when you are here and you in the comfort that is the United States of America, as far as being Christian, right? And you say that you're being persecuted on because, you want to go to church in your bronze, and they want you to go to church in your shoes, right? That's not real persecution, right? When you compare it to, like what we were discussing before, to the 30 Coptic Christians who were beheaded by ISIS just for committing the crime of being Christians, right? That's persecution.
Right.
They don't want you to wear sneakers. Dude, then don't wear sneakers. The same way I had to shave, right?
Right.
Don't wear sneakers. Wear your shoes.
Wear your dress shoes angrily.
Right? Wear your dress shoes, be really angry and wear your dress shoes, because there's something in obedience that honors God, right? When you've got the pastor in Iraq being thrown in jail, there's another pastor from here who's in jail in North Korea right now.
There was a pastor in Iran who just got let go.
He was just a
few months back.
Well, was he, or was it?
No, he was released. The
wife was released, and he's not yet.
No, he was released.
He was released. Released.
The wife and the kids were here in America already.
Oh, okay.
And he just got released a few months back.
But that's real persecution. You have people in India, Christians in India, getting beat up in the street, set on fire, right in the street, just for being Christians, where their only crime is the fact that they believe in Jesus.
Right. Or like the Coptics in Egypt, who it's really interesting. They all get these little cross tattoos on their wrists, as a way of identifying themselves as believers. But even they face harassment and persecution of whether it's extreme physical or verbal or whatever, because they are Christian.
And then you take it to the old church.
And that's the only, their churches get bombed and burned and that kind of thing.
Exactly.
That's persecution.
That's real persecution. Right. Well, that's persecution.
Right. And so what does, Jay had the scriptures pulled up. As always, we want to go back to scripture. What does now? So there's that kind of that persecution, and that obviously those are more, I guess, extreme kind of forms of persecution in a way. That because those are things that we see on, a lot of times we maybe see or hear about those things. That's not to say that you can't, you might not face persecution here.
But being asked to wear shoes to church,
right? But
instead of sneakers, that's not persecution.
Right, but the idea is that because if someone doesn't want you, or someone doesn't agree with you, they're not persecuting you. That's not, they're not hating on you. It's just maybe they're asking you to do something that falls within maybe the culture of the church that you're in, or the business that you're in, or
right. Because you're not understood doesn't mean that you're being persecuted, right? I mean, Jesus himself went back to Nazareth, right? And there he couldn't do not one miracle.
Nope.
Right? He couldn't. No signs, no wonders, because people knew who he was, right? They knew who he was, right? They remember him as a kid, knuckleheading it around, right? So they didn't believe in him, and so this was almost like a mockery.
Scripture doesn't say he left,
and he had to leave, but it didn't say that he left like
angrily,
right? He left upset, or he said, "Oh, I can't do miracles because you guys are hating on me," and he just stormed out of Nazareth, right? Or he did like one small miracle and said, "Ha!" and threw it on the floor.
Threw it on their face, in their face. Like, I'm going to raise this bird. Boop, there's the bird. I raised him there.
Yeah,
look what
there you go, in your face. And the disciples all threw up their deuces and they all walked out.
Yeah, they all walked out. Singing, what was that song? You can hate me now. No, they weren't doing that. They weren't doing that. So what we want to do is we want to look at, we're going to do two things, because a lot of what we're talking about, actually. So we're going to look at persecution, and then we want to look at correction, because I think a lot of times what we think is persecution, or we think is people hating on us, is just people trying to correct or encourage us through correction, and we'll kind of hit that in a second. But let's look at scripture first.
Let's
just
kind
of set up what is actual persecution, and what should be our response to it.
As far as being hated on, right? Because if we really pay attention, right, no one was hated on more than Jesus, right? And so on the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus said, "Blessed are you when people hate you, and when they exclude you and revile you and spurn your name as evil on account of the Son of Man." So, right? So, according to Jesus, right, we're going to talk about the red letters, right? In the red letters, if you're hated on, if you're excluded, if you're spurned, like they talk against you, right?
Or rejected.
If you're rejected, then you're blessed. If it's being done because you are repping Jesus. Right. So if you're out there and you're repping Jesus and they're mad at you, people get mad at you because you're repping Jesus, or you're big upping his name, or you're out there doing his work, and they persecute you and they hate on you, then that's
and they really hate on you.
Yeah, that's like for real, then that's persecution. Right? Then you're being persecuted on. You're being hated on, but you're being hated on account of Jesus' name.
Right.
So
on account of following Jesus, on account of WWJDing it. What would Jesus
what would Jesus do?
Like you've taken that mandate and you're saying, I am going to, do this, and so regardless, there's there could be hundreds of examples, and but the idea is that you're taking Jesus' words and his commandments, and you're following.
We're gonna go right to Mark 13:13. It says, he says, you will be hated on by all, right? By all, for my name's sake. But the one who endures to the end will be saved.
Right. So and that's right. Hated by all, and so we've gotten so in a way insular thinking when it comes to people being against us, that we've kind of flipped it, right? So we want, we say people in the church hate on us because they don't like what we do.
Right.
And we're trying to please or appease or appear cool to the world, who, if we're living like Jesus, they're really the ones that are gonna hate and reject you.
Exactly.
And they got people in the church. Some of them might, but the people in the church will be seeing that fruit and going, "Oh, this guy's
so
for Jesus,"
and they'll repent. The other ones outside of the church, they will try to do things to you physically. Right,
or in America, verbally.
Even physically here.
That's why you take pictures and report them to the police.
That's why you put video. Right, always have somebody with a phone recording. Right, but there's a difference, right? If you're in the church and it's that they don't understand, because there's still a big gap between like some adults that have been doing it for a while,
right,
and the youth who are like overzealous. And they're coming up now. And the gap is the lack of communication and understanding, right? Because sometimes when we're a little older, we tend to forget that we were like that once. Right? But we already hit those roadblocks. We already slammed into those walls. So we're a little wiser now, right? So we don't want to see what it is that the young people are doing. And then the young people on their end, they feel that the older people, they don't understand and they're just too old and they never saw or thought things the way we do now.
Right.
And so, we're just going to rebel. We're going to do our own thing. We don't need to be in the church. We need to be outside the church. But we've been there. Right.
It is
like all the arguments that are being had now. They're recycled arguments.
I remember there was something going on the internet this past week, and Jay hits me up and he's like, "Hey man, did you see this? And how do you think we should respond?" And my response was laughter. I laughed and I was like, dude, those are conversations we had 20 years ago, 30 years ago when we were young adults. It's nothing new. And our response should be grace and should be, let's talk with them and let's kind of talk through these things as mature, as older believers. What's really frustrating to me, though, when it comes to people talking about being hated on, is it's not the young kids, it's not the youngins, the ones that are zealous, but it's the ones that have been Christians for a while, and they say that they're teachers or that they're pastors or that there's some I'm called to ministry. I'm called to to reach people for Jesus. And the moment you ask a question about something that they're doing, and it might be a genuine, like, I don't understand why you're doing this.
Right.
Can you explain it to me? And they get all defensive and they get all worked up and,
What do you mean by something that they're doing? Like they're eating pizza with a fork and a knife?
Well,
that annoys me.
That doesn't. Well, no, I've done that before, but now that I know it annoys you, it could be anything. It could be it could be. It could be places they hang out. Like, why are you hanging out?
Why are you hanging out at a strip joint?
I don't know anybody that hangs out.
No, I'm just saying.
That's like the most extreme case. Though, right? But
I'm throwing it out there.
If they're like, well, why are you?
That's a hypothetical.
Why are you hanging out at a strip joint? Oh, I'm hanging out because want to share the love of Jesus with the people in the strip club. The dancers and the people that show up. And it's like, okay, but isn't it maybe dangerous to put yourself in a situation where you are most definitely going to face temptation, right?
Right.
And what? So these people don't need Jesus. That's why we shouldn't go to those places. And it's like, no, you shouldn't go to those places because you're not equipped to go to those places. If you're a man, right, and you say you want to minister to people in strip clubs, and you go to a strip club, it's like you're literally pouring gas on yourself and you're about to light yourself on fire. You might as well do that because you're going to be tempted, right? Because that's how as far as when you're dealing with how men are wired and whatever, that's gonna be an issue. Is every man gonna be tempted?
No.
Are most men gonna be tempted?
Yes.
Yes, probably. Like high probability.
Very high.
Very high probability.
Very high probability.
Off the charts probability. So then the response is, well, you're hating on me and what I'm trying to do for God, and you just not really,
right.
You must not really want to reach people for Jesus.
And instead of being so defensive, it should be something that should be talked about, right? Something that should be, look for some help, for some wisdom,
right?
So it's like, instead of you alone going to these places, why not set up a team of men and women that can be with you, standing outside, whatever,
right?
Water, Bibles, whatever it is that you do,
Why, and there's plenty of there's plenty of ministries that deal with that. Go plug in with them
that do that, right?
Right. Go plug in with them, but people that know what they're doing. And that's and now that was a very kind of
I'm sorry. I just threw that hypothetical.
And that was a very kind of extreme example. And maybe, but sometimes you do face a little pushback, maybe a little more hostility, when you're trying to do something. And so, a perfect example. I know me and Jay were talking at one time how he was trying to, when he was in New York working with the youth, he was trying to do some things with the youth in the church, and to get kids involved, to bring kids from the outside. And so he would do, if I remember right, I think he was doing like hip hop shows and concerts and stuff. And the pushback was, who are these kids and why are they coming to this church? They're not Spanish, Oh,
I remember that.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Or when the artists would come in and, these are artists. I mean, this is like back in the day.
Right. They're, they're wearing their Timberlands and
right,
their baggy jeans.
And their hair is locked up and whatever. It's like, oh no, they can't come in here like that.
That means they have dreadlocks.
Right.
When it's locked up. It doesn't mean that they're like,
in jail. Their hair is in jail. Right. They have locks on. Oh, they can't come in here like that. Oh, tell them to tie his hair up. Oh, tell them to take their earrings off.
Right. So the response is, would be, well, why are you hating on me? Why are you hating on what I'm trying to do? Now that's a more confrontational way of looking at it. As far as
that was because looking back now, that was because they did not understand the movement that I was trying to start. Right? They didn't understand what I was doing. They didn't understand the music. They didn't understand the culture. They didn't understand, that this was a tool now, used to that can be used
to reach kids,
to reach unchurched kids, right? So they didn't understand that. So that's why there was that hostility until it happened that same night that they actually saw the fruit of it. Right. And I still remember to this day my old pastor Padro standing on the side, like bouncing up and down, trying to do a little Pentecostal two-step because he saw the fruit, right? When the artists were up there and they were telling their stories, their testimonies, and they were calling up people for prayer, like almost half the people that showed up, they all went up for prayer, right? And they all accepted Christ. So they were able to see the fruit, right? So then there was peace, right? So that type, it ended.
Yeah, and so that I guess, so we, as believers, we have to be very, very careful on, how we react to others whenever we're trying to do something for God. And at the same time, we need to always be open to correction and to the wisdom of that others, maybe
wisdom of the elders,
more mature believers,
right,
could give us. And once again, when we look at Scripture, Paul, he talks to Timothy about that, and he tells him, preach the word, be ready in and out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with great patience and instruction. So, we have to be open to those that are mature, maybe leaders, to come to us and say, hey, maybe it's a great idea. Maybe the way you're going about doing it, maybe it's not the best. So let's So how can we maybe shift that? How can we relook at that idea so that we can then do it in a way that it honors God,
right?
Because we're doing it rightly. But what ends up happening is, and what I hope is that believers will start kind of getting in their head is that don't need to throw up your hands immediately and say, well, you're against me.
And I'm trying to think outside these four walls of the church and do something, and the church is trying to hold me down, right? We Joaquin and I have, and again, this is us speaking from us, right? We've come to, let's say, to the conclusion, right?
Yes.
That there are two types of persecution, right? There's real persecution,
when
right?
You're losing your head, you're getting beat up,
or you lose something. Right. There's hostility towards you because of your beliefs, because and it also and it always ends in you losing something, whether it be your head, right? Or it be your job, your reputation within the church or within ministry, right? You're going to lose something, and that it will be, unless you lose your head, it'll be something that'll make you draw closer to God, rely more on God.
Well, it should, right? You should draw closer to God. You should
turn to God to be the source of your everything, because he should already be seen to you as the source of everything, right?
And because he says this is going to happen,
right?
It's
like if they did it to me, they're gonna do it to you, right? So prepare for it.
I never understood how people talk about, oh, I'm a ministry, I'm doing this for God, They face persecution. And the first thing they do then is they throw their hands up and say, well, I'm done with all of this.
Right. Oh, you guys suck. You guys, the church.
You ain't been reading your word then, because Jesus said it's going to happen.
Or they write a song against the church. They write a song against people.
The church doesn't want people. And it's like, listen,
or they get up on their blogs, the video, YouTube, social media right now. It's on everything, right? And then there's And then there's a believed persecution.
Yes.
Which is all that we were just talking about.
It's the Kanye persecution. That's what we're going to call it from now on. You got Kanye persecution, where you think people are after you and doing things to you.
Purposely against you to try to keep you down.
Try to keep you down.
Right. Right. I'm
trademarking that.
And believed persecution, or now, what will now be known as Kanye persecution, right? If you were to focus and really pay attention to the root of it, then it's a pride issue.
Yes.
Right? It's a pride issue. It's a fear issue, right? It's more about your hurt feelings and your lack of understanding, right? Or your
lack of maturity.
Or your rejection of correction, your lack of maturity. And so you throw up your hands, as you said, and you scream persecution. Oh, I'm being persecuted. No one loves me.
Right.
I'm 50% better than Jesus.
I'm 50% better than this church. And for those of you that don't get that reference, you should look up Kanye rant SNL. It will. It might depress you. I don't know. It's crazy. But right, that's the idea. When this perceived persecution is what we deal with most, I believe, here in the kind of the American church thought process. Because we have good intentions.
Right. Where our heart's in the right place.
Your heart's in the right place. You want to see people come to Christ. But the moment you get a little pushback, you're like, oh, I'm being persecuted. I'm being, these people don't understand the vision. If the words that come out of your mouth are these people don't understand the vision, that means you have not explained the vision. And maybe you need to take a step back and
really sit down, have a sit down meeting and explain your vision, but also be open to the wisdom of somebody that's been there, that's done that, that can pour into you, right? Pour into your ministry, right? With the wisdom of experience,
yes,
right? The wisdom of the word, and help you, right? Help you bring your dream or your ministry, your idea into fruition.
Yes.
Rather than just taking either a stance of throwing your hands up and giving up, or throwing your fists up and putting up a wall, right?
Right.
So, but also on that, it's also on the person that doesn't understand, right, to also reach out and speak to and pour into in love, rather than just say, I know more. Right. I've done this. No.
Right. And do it in grace and do it with, with love and mercy and compassion, and showing these guys, or this group of people or the, specific person, hey, I want to help you achieve what this dream is. And, and I think, I think if we kind of really need to kind of shift ourselves in our mindsets in that. And then the third thing, as I'm just going to kind of throw that out there as we're kind of rounding the bend here to end. And that is this: if God has called you, to do something, whatever that is, if God has truly called you to do that, do what God has called you to do, and God will handle the naysayers and those that might come against you. And I say that, we look at the story of Gideon, where God tells him, tear down all the altars, and Gideon tears them down, and the men in the morning get up and they're like, oh, who did this? Who did this? Why did, and Gideon didn't respond with, why you guys hating on what I'm doing? I'm just doing what God wants me to do. No, Gideon was just like, hey, this is what God said to do. And we have to understand that when we follow God and when you do what God's called you to do, you're not always going to get a positive response.
Right. One of the most impactful things that was said to me once was, you be obedient to the calling and let God take care of the rest.
Yes.
Right. I mean, that was said to me years ago. Well, not that long ago, but a few years ago. But like it's burned. It's burned in me. It's burned in my heart. Right. It's burned in my mind.
Because what better way for the critics to be silenced than for fruit to be born out of what God's called you to do.
Right.
Out of doing what God's asked you to do.
You see, and then another thing that jumps out at me, and this is something that I learned by watching. We we joked a lot about Juice when we first started because he's not here. But like in actually being out there and doing ministry with him, I noticed that he's all about that, right? Whereas he'll put, right, when we did the festivals in the summer, like he'll come and he'll tell me, hey Jay, this kid, we're gonna give him 5 minutes on stage to do a song. He does this, and I'm like, dude, no, who is that? Right. You don't know what his songs are about. You don't know, but he's all about that. Like he'll go and he'll speak to people. He sees their heart. He sees that they want to do work for God, and he gives them opportunities. Right. Where I used to want to like shut them down, and I used to fight with them all the time until I see that, that like it gives it, if you do that, if you find somebody that can do that for you, it's such an encouragement. Or if you're that person that you can do that for somebody, it's so encouraging. Right. Right. And I see them they still talk to us like a year later, and now they're doing more. Right. Right now they're even more on fire to do things for God and to reach the community and reach other kids. So it's very important that if somebody comes to you with ideas or with a passion for something, to not shut them down. Right. Right. To not shut them down, to listen them. And encourage,
guide, and be, help.
That's the word I was looking for, and guide them.
So with that being said, we're, just to kind of recap as we're about to shut down, and that is, listen, there's real persecution in this world. And I think we know that, there are people that are losing their lives, because they refuse to reject Jesus Christ. And, let's remember those martyrs, and let's make sure we pray for them. Right. At the same time, just because you're going through something difficult, because maybe someone doesn't understand what you're trying to do, does not put you on that level.
It doesn't mean that you're persecuted.
Open yourself up. And this is all of us. Me and Jay try to practice in our everyday with all the things that we do. If you feel God's called you to do something, pursue what God's called you to do. But pursue it with an open heart so that you can hear from those that are experienced and have the wisdom that can pour into you to help you walk out what God has called in your life. Because if God's truly called you to it, then the fruits will silence the critics.
Right. And also, open yourself for correction. because in correction, it'll help you, right, with your with not to be rhyming, but with your direction,
yes,
right, because it's better to listen than to throw up your hands and fight and reject and just give up.
So with that being said, my peoples, keep your hearts open, keep your minds open, and love on each other, pray for each other, and do life together. Wrapping it up now. This is Joaquin.
And I'm still Jay.
And this is the Overflow Podcast at
thisisOutcry.com.